Good afternoon. This is Howard Danzig with Employers Committed to Control Health Insurance Costs, which is known oftentimes as ECCHIC. And this afternoon, one of our clients from Port Industries, Gerry Korb, has been gracious enough to share some of his ideas, some of his thoughts, and some of his experiences in using the methods that we have recommended over the years for him to provide affordable benefits and benefits that are stable, and positioning Gerry to be able to be in control of his program and use his resources based on what the needs and demographics of his groups become. Hey, Gerry, thanks for joining us, and we appreciate you taking time to be able to describe what you do, and let's talk about how we all got together and what we've done together. But talk a little bit about Port Industries and how you came to do what Port does and what Port has been doing. Gerry is president of Port, and I'll just turn it over to him at this moment for the time being.
Yeah, thanks, Howard. It's good to be with you. It's always good to see you and hear your voice and get a chance to talk with you. Yeah, as Howard said, my name is Gerry Korb. I now own Port Industries. We're a relatively small manufacturing company located in Palmyra, Missouri. We have just under 50 employees. We design, build, distribute, and service trenchers and plows, primarily for the farm tiling industry. They're used to put drain tiles in farm fields all across the Midwest. A large secondary market for us is the wind farm business, where we lease and or sell trenchers for companies that install cabling on wind farms. Every windmill needs some cables that take the electricity that's produced and connect it to a substation. So our products generally are in the 400 horsepower range. Machines weigh anywhere from about 50,000 to 80,000 pounds, and we build them from the ground up. We build the tractor as well as the digging implement. So that's kind of describes what our company does.
Gerry, how long have you owned Port?
Well, I've actually was half owner of Port Industries for about 21 years, but in the past, in 2020, bought my partner out. So now I'm the sole owner of the business. And I have two sons that are in the business. So of course the plan is someday to ease out of it and let them have more and more of the business to run and own. Yeah, without prompting any more questions, Howard, the first 10 years of being a partner in this business was a real, quite an experience when it came to healthcare. Let's put it that way. We had a traditional health insurance plan. We wanted to provide health insurance for not only our employees, but our families and dependents as well. And we did that through a traditional plan. But every year, it seemed we were hit with double-digit increases in premium costs. And about 12 years ago, probably, I found out about a seminar that you were holding over in Quincy, Illinois, on your program, and I went to it, was impressed, and kind of stuck the information away in a file, thinking, well, maybe someday, I'd be interested in that. And about the end of 2010, we got our renewal from our insurance carrier, and again looking at double-digit increases, and finally concluded that if we continue with our healthcare costs going up like they have, we'll be running this business strictly to pay for employees' health insurance. And that didn't seem like a good plan. So I happened to dig out the information on ECCHIC, gave you a call, And one thing led to another. You were quickly came up here and paid us a visit and went through the ECC program and plan. And it all made sense to me. And with some evaluation and a little bit of, I don't know, Howard logic, I guess, applying some common sense to it, says this makes a lot of sense. And so we signed up and we started then with you December 1st of 2010. And, you said at the time, keep your budget the same. So we actually kept our budget the same as it was in 2010. And to be honest, we're still operating off that same budget. Okay. We have not changed our premiums that our employees pay. They've gone neither up nor down. We did lower their out of pocket a little bit, $500, and have had the same plan now for over 10 years.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Actually, this worked out even better than we had anticipated. And when Gerry uses the term budget, budget is the benchmark by which we measure what his costs are relative to what his premium used to be. And the premium that he was paying in 2010 is what his budget was, because within that premium is the funding to pay for prescriptions, for medical services and healthcare, administrative costs, which is paying the claims, and actually the true cost of insurance. So if we follow the formula, Gerry, didn't we set you up so you know where your costs are and what your costs are from month to month, quarter to quarter, and year to year?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we know every cost there is to the plan. We pay the bills. We write the checks. So we know all those costs, and we can track them easily. And in the 10 years that we've been doing this, every year so far, we have come in under what we set as our budget. Even though we had a year where we had some higher spending, we still spent less than we would have with the plan back in 2010. So we've been very happy with that.
There's a point at which insurance does take you off the hook. And I think in your case, at that point, was it 25,000? Is that, am I correct on that point?
Yes. Yeah.
And the benefits that the employees have are customized to what Gerry wants them to be. So you may want to talk to what the out-of-pocket was, if you remember, but that has remained, if I'm correct, unchanged during that 10-year period as well. Am I right about that?
Yes, that's correct. When we started out, we had a $4,500 out-of-pocket, and we've lowered that to $4,000, but hardly anybody ever hits it. So it's not, it's worked out well. Our employees every year, I think they kind of hold their breath, what's going to happen to premiums. And now for the 11th year said, your premiums are staying the same. Your out-of-pockets are the same. The deductibles are the same. And we have in our plan where employees can go to a physician and pay a small co-insurance or co-payment, and they all like that. So there's never much of a burden when you want to take your son or daughter or your wife or yourself to the doctor. So,
Gerry, would you recommend to an employer to, or would you go back to the conventional premiums that you had been paying prior to this, given the chance?
No, not at all. Prior to getting together here today, Howard, I went back and looked at some of my notes from when we first met.
Right.
And my notes from a company, a local company that had already been with you. And one of the notes I looked at, they said, well, and this other company said they had gone 10 years and still, had the same costs as they had in year one. And I thought that's really interesting because our experience has been the exact same thing. So no, I'd have no interest whatsoever in going to a traditional plan. This one is a
Have,
little more, your plan requires a little more effort on our part to administer it, but it is well worth it. One, we know where our money is going, but two, it's our return for those few hours a week to administer the plan is huge. So.
would you say that one of the biggest disadvantages small employers have in dealing with the health insurance system is the fact that they have no knowledge about what's going on with regard to their costs relative to the premiums they're being charged?
Oh, I think that's part of it for sure. And the other part, I think, with a lot of small employers, they just don't know that there's other
Right.
options available. And that's, what your plan does. It allows us to know what our costs are, but also to function much like a large employer would and get some of the same cost benefits that a larger employer would. I have to say for ourselves, and I would think for a lot of small companies, the idea of taking on some potential risk, of having to pay out that first $20,000 or $25,000 scares a lot of people. But when you really step back and look at it, very few employees or dependents ever hit those big numbers. So, we took on more risk, but the rewards have far, far, far outstripped the risk.
I appreciate you saying that. I think when we first talked, I think I told you that what we had experienced is that the percentage of people in a sample size of your group that hits 20,000 or more falls into a range of 0 to 3% over time. Would you say that that has been fairly accurate?
I would say that's been very accurate. Yeah. And the other thing that we have done and you've encouraged over the years is rather than pay more in premiums to go with a larger deductible or a larger stop loss. And we've done that. When we started out, I think we were at $5,000.
That's
And
right.
we would cover we would cover $5,000, and insurance would take over, and now we're up to $25,000 and doing as well or better, overall with our costs.
Well, it's really a question of comparing what the premium is from one level to the next against what your activity level is in terms of cost in that same level. And if the premium is more than the cost of the service, it's wasteful to be paying a premium to pay for the service. The service is less expensive. So you've been in a position to see that point of diminishing return, where if you go any higher, you're not getting enough premium back to justify it. If you go any lower, you're putting too much premium on the table to justify it.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been forward thinking enough to evaluate. A lot of employers don't take the time to evaluate that. Is there anything in summation that perhaps you think might be worthwhile to just mention, and just what your overall impressions are thereafter? And we can't thank you enough for having the privilege to work with you, and for you taking the time to discuss this with us this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything necessarily particular, but just overall, I think, working with you and your business has gotten better every year. Your people are very good at answering questions and getting back to us. And, as I say, I think that continues to improve. And we're very happy with that, with the service. And overall, I wouldn't think for a minute of going back to a traditional plan. It's been a great partnership with you and ECC, and we hope it continues for many, many years.
Well, I hope it continues for many years too, Gerry. And a good health to you and good business. And we greatly appreciate the ability to work with you. And listen, the sidebar of this is not only have you been a client, but we consider you a very, very good friend, and we appreciate that as well.
Well, thank you, Hardin. We look forward to seeing you in person one of these days when we get through all this.
Oh yeah, very shortly, very shortly, and I'll come up there, and then when you're coming to St. Louis, hopefully to see the Cardinals score more than 2 runs in a game, we'll take that in as well.